Evening, everybody. For the record, Thursday, November 9th, 2023, 5:15 p.m. The Wenatchee City Council is out of executive session. I've called the meeting to order. Roll call. We have 6 council members with us today. Councilmember Hornby is on vacation this week. And we always start our meeting with a pledge to our flag. So would the Girl Scouts come up with me and will lead us in the pledge? All of you, come on. Let's go. Is this one on? Testing. Is it, Zach, is this on? Can you hear it?
I think Jen's going to grab it right here.
All right, you ready? We'll put it right here in the middle. We'll look at the flag. You ready? Who's going to start us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic one nation, under God, indivisible, with all.
Excellent. Nice work, ladies.
I just want to thank you, Wenatchee. My name is Brian Newberry. I'm the CEO of this Council of Distinction. You have some amazing Girl Scouts here, don't you? I tell you, Gabby, raise your hand real fast. Gabby, raise your hand. There she is right there. In about an hour, she's going to get a Medal of Honor from our council for basically saving her household, her brother, and her dog when a fire started in her home and she was home alone. She's already been recognized by your fire department, but she's going to get her Medal of Honor here shortly. But you all make these Girl Scouts happen, and we have Jackie here who's a service unit leader, but you know what? We've almost doubled our number of Girl Scouts here within the Wenatchee area, but we hit 4,000 Girl Scouts across Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho, most Girl Scouts since 2013. And as a membership organization, I hope that makes you happy, because with more girls in the world, we have a better place. And on Veterans Day, I've got a couple veterans here. I'd be remiss not to thank you all for loving your veterans. You all donated across Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho, 38,000 boxes of cookies to our veterans. We've sent many of those overseas. I'm going to be dropping more to Fairchild. Pretty much all the VAs across our state have been hit. That's over $1 million in cookies have been donated by you all because you love our country. So thank you, Mayor, for honoring our Girl Scouts tonight. It was the Day of the Girl about 3 weeks ago, but this was the night we were going to do the Medal of Honor, so we waited until that night to celebrate the Day of the Girl. Girls, your voice matters. And that's why we have the Day of the Girl. And all these folks clapping for you, they know your voice matters. Never forget that. Thank you, Mayor. God bless you all.
Thank you. So we need to get our picture taken. 1, 2, you each get a pin. And 3, when you leave out that door over there, there's some Halloween candy, and you each get 1 piece on the way out the door, all right? So come up here. Okay, let's get our picture taken. Come on, get up here.
Could you all stand up real quick, would you mind, Wenatchee, just for the classy photo? Thank you very much.
Can you kneel on the floor? Kneel. My front row girls, can you all take a knee? Yeah, my front row girls, please take a knee. Look right here, smile. Everyone say cookies.
Okay, so here's what you get. You get a city pin, you get a piece of candy on the way out, right? You do? You want a second city pin?
Simonas. A good shortbread's hard to beat. My mom used to make these. She died.
Work for that one.
Nice. 19 years. Wow. They weren't quite like moms, but that's, yeah, I love that.
All right, we'll give them a little minute to work their way out.
buying cookies for the military. I didn't know the connection either. Because we usually see is, a table out in front of the stores.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah, you take those with you.
Take it.
Take the whole bucket. There you go. All right, so we will, can I conclude the meeting? I guess we can't we? All right, so the next item on our agenda is citizen comment. This would be a time if anybody of the audience wish to address the city council on something that's on tonight's agenda or not. The only public hearing item we have tonight is a property tax ordinance, so if you're here to discuss that, then we will have that during our public hearing. Otherwise, we will open it up, give you about 3 minutes. Hi, Brian.
How are we doing?
Good.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brian Campbell, 1837 Jefferson Street. First of all, I want to say that was a great presentation. I love it when the kids come in here and do that. And I'm not going to try to sour the mood here. I respect everyone in here, and I respect this city and all of the citizens in the city. But I also am always in seek of the truth. And this is something that came to me in the middle of the night. I literally woke up and went to the computer and just kind of came out. So this is something that I wanted to, it's kind of a weird little story. Just want to preface it, but I just want to know it's nothing personal. This is just something in seek of the truth. So I'll just go for it. It's an analogy. Some of those times, one of the analogies that Frank would use is a football analogy in the red zone, that kind of thing. These analogies tend to stick, and people can kind of remember them. So that's where it's coming from. Captain Kuntz knows Wenatchee's ship is getting closer and closer to running aground. The Confluence Parkway finances. He's planning on abandoning ship beforehand, but he's also fully aware of the inability of his first mate to steer the ship. Captain Kuntz has complete control of his staff on the ship's bridge, the city council, but wants to protect his loyal officers, the department heads. Captain Kuntz gives each of his officers a lifeboat, employment contract with severance package, and promotes a new first mate, the city administrator. She will be the best chance for keeping the ship off the rocks, but if it does run aground, Captain Kuntz will already be ashore and not be held accountable. Captain Kuntz will keep the passengers, the citizens of Wenatchee, uninformed until the day after the election and the appointment of Captain Poyer, in order to avoid a mutiny. Yesterday, one day after the election, Captain Kuntz finally informed the passengers what lies ahead and told the band to keep playing. Now that the passengers realize they've been deceived and they're on their own to fend for themselves, they will no longer act like sheep. Now I'm switching from my analogy to the real life Wenatchee. The citizens are immediately taking action and demanding accountability. The inner circle and mayor's minions have been uncovered, and the people are developing their own media sources for receiving the truth and facts. The mayor and complicit city council, including mayoral candidate Mike Poyer, blatantly changed Wenatchee's form of governance, the job description and salary of the new mayor, and took away the new mayor's power 1 week before the ballots were mailed and just 26 days before the election. That illegal action was taken without a vote of the people in violation of Revised Code of Washington 35A.13 and 35A.06.030. And Mike Poyer's participation and vote were in direct violation of Wenatchee City Code 1.07.020. They even got the information wrong that Rich Brinkman was the last city administrator for Wenatchee. The only city administrator for Wenatchee was Gary Tomczyk, and the city administrator position went away when Dennis Johnson took over as mayor in 2000.
What's that, Tammy? We're getting close, Brian.
Okay, I'm done, almost. The mayor's claim that the city administrator position still remained, but just wasn't filled for the past 23 years is untruthful. If that very important position just remained unfilled for the past 23 years, it would have to be in the city's annual budget every year and funds allocated in case the position was filled that year. While the people develop their new methods of staying informed and obtaining the truth and facts, they will continue to address this body at every public meeting and hold each of you accountable. I'll continue to pray for all of you and the 35,000 citizens of Wenatchee that depend on you. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you, and I thank you very much for your leadership.
Thanks, Brian. Anybody else wish to address the council on something that's not part of our public hearing item regarding property tax? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
Craig Day, Purgatory. No, Craig Day, 600 Riverside. First off, Mayor, I cannot thank you enough for what you've done. It makes me really sad that you're moving on. You've
thank you.
done an amazing job. You were so gracious as a leader when you did, I think it was with the mayor of Redmond, who's a Democrat, and it just warms my heart. It reminds
thank
me
you.
of Reagan and Tip O'Neill.
Yeah.
I think is amazing. Also, your brother who runs Wake Up Wenatchee,
Yep.
funniest guy ever. Such a good guy. I cannot thank you enough. My issue is that I'm an insurance broker that worked really, really hard. What I do is I create a lot of revenue and tax dollars to fund my first responders, and potentially, the election's not over, potentially, there is a candidate who might have worked in the insurance industry. I want everyone to kind of think about zero tolerance. I have zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. So just 10 seconds, think about zero tolerance. Zero tolerance is when you take the trust of your clients. Yeah, I don't have time for that. And it really concerns me because I love this place. I live here. I grew up going to the Chieftain. I really miss that prime rib. But I have zero tolerance for a potential candidate who did something in 2015 and 2020, which is public record. I won't say the person's name. But how can I put trust, since you are a CPA, and I really trust my CPAs, how can I put trust in my heart to have that person guide the finances of my community? That's it.
All right, thank you, Craig.
Yep, thank you.
Yep. Hi, James.
Hi, Frank. James McLaughlin, 2028 Center Court Drive. Here on a couple of points. Just to follow up from that gentleman said, there has been some issues that have gone on that need to be investigated. The Insurance Commission is quite a big one. The Public Disclosure Commission, the violation that's been worked through, they have a backlog, so unfortunately they didn't get to it before the election happened. As I've been here over the last several weeks, I think I've made it abundantly clear to everybody that I have a problem with the local governance. I don't feel like some of the members that are sitting in these chairs are doing their job. I think the people in those chairs that know they're not doing their jobs know who I'm talking to. There's also some good people that are working. I've just come from South Wenatchee, so this is why I'm wearing what I'm wearing. The problem down there is getting worse, and you need to go down there and see it firsthand so you can experience it. If you're not going to do anything about it, the people down there shouldn't have to pay their taxes, they shouldn't have to pay their rates, and they probably shouldn't have to pay their electricity, water, anything else. Because if the city's not going to do anything for them, and is going to keep on shipping in or allowing homeless people to keep on coming into their neighborhood, they should stand up. And I'm encouraging them to stand up, because until something happens, it's going to get too bad. Right now, the next time I'm here, we'll have over 500 homeless people. We'll still have 44 police officers. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable in any metropolitan area, especially per capita. It's excessive for here. So that needs to be addressed. Second note, Mike, it looks like you're going to win. Congratulations. It does turn out that there is a city employee that lives out in Palisades where my signs were. His name is Billy Hale. I would like that the city attorney looks into it. I'd like that the HR department looks into it, and I'd like to find out who was responsible, what promises were made to staff, and if I'm going to let the city attorney know, because I've heard through hearsay that there's certain staff that are going to be promoted when Mike becomes mayor. I want to make sure that that's not a quid pro quo, because like I said, currently, Mike, your honor and everything is on the line, and it's all public record. So a lot of people have a lot of questions, but my main concern right now, as always, the homelessness, the crime, and it seems like the inability to actually have some sort of plan or strategic partnership, or even get with the business owners to figure out how we're going to come up and have a plan where locking the toilets of the public restrooms is not a plan. That's not working. So I encourage everybody to please do a better job. And that's all I'm going to say. Thanks.
Thanks, James. Anybody else wish to address the council on something that's not on today's agenda or is on today's agenda? Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Name and
My name-
address for the record.
my name's Denise McBurney. My address is 930 Wheeler Hill Road, Wenatchee. I'm here today to request services. I'm gonna read it to you because I get all over the place. Okay, first of all, please let me thank all the search and rescue participants, all the people who have looked for my son, prayed for us, and supported us through this devastating dark time. I really appreciate it, and they did the search and rescue up at number 1 and 2 Canyons and Castle Rock, which was amazing. And so although nothing was found in Castle Rock, number 1 or number 2 Canyon areas, I'm extremely grateful that the search was launched and it helped to eliminate that area so we can move on to other possibilities. I want to send out my love and gratitude to all the volunteers, some who came across the state with cadaver dogs, and all the local amazing caring people who have been searching for my son. The heart of a volunteer, there's nothing stronger than that. I guess preparing for the search was what really took its toll. I prepared for one of two scenarios. They would find his body, and what that would encompass was extremely difficult to imagine because I've never even had to plan a funeral. And let alone all the extra stuff that goes along with my son's possibly gruesome situation. Or we really need to look into, did Trav disappear from Cherry Manor because a crime was committed after 6 p.m. on the night of April 22nd, 2023? And I won't go into all that right now, but these are some rough roads to travel down alone, and I could really use some backup. I'm here to request some services today. Here's what I've learned is available, but has never been offered to us, and trust me when I tell you that we desperately need some help coping with this loss and lack of closure. My family does. Last summer, Douglas County responded to a missing persons case, which turned out to be the biggest coordinated effort that they've had for several years. Today, I want to speak about the services, support, and compassion that were offered to the family. We mama bears get tunnel vision and turn into bulldozers and tend to plow down anything in the way to find our kiddos. So Douglas County Undersheriff Kale and the rest of the team kept reiterating to his mama, you have to take care of yourself. You have another son at home. You have to take care of your family. These gentle reminders are so important when we're in a stress response mode. Okay, here's some of the services and resources that were arranged and offered by Douglas County Sheriff's Department. Douglas County utilized the Behavioral Health Unit from Saline County Sheriff's Office. It's a partnership they have had for special mental health needs. They are grant funded and serve both counties, and they come out to the scene. For instance, they had just utilized them for a person who was locked in a bathroom and wouldn't come out. So any type incident that requires additional skills in mental health expertise, they usually reach out to these professionals and then work together with them. A behavioral health council responded to the home and counseled the missing person's family, especially the mama, throughout the case. Douglas County also introduced the family to one of the chaplains from the regional chaplains group that the agencies in our valley utilize. This is way prior to him being found. Then on another level, they asked a trauma therapist here in the valley who used to be part of one of their local advisory advocacy centers if she would speak to them. They knew that they couldn't force the missing young moms to accept the support, but wanted to offer all the resources that may be helpful. Douglas County also utilized Catholic Family Services on 2 levels for his mama, but also for the family. They can offer services for all the family dynamics, so if her son or husband needed help, they would also serve them. CCS and Behavioral Health are the 2 grant-funded mental health responders in the valley. When the mental anguish and trauma overtakes us, not sleeping, not eating, not taking care of ourselves, what often happens when in that state is that we only hear a small percentage of the information being presented to us, and then trying to process it and function is nearly impossible. These human services workers who are helping extremely vulnerable people through their trauma are such beautiful souls. During the first few days of his disappearance, the other kiddo, a detective went to the home and conducted an interview, gathered family historical information, medical records, and received permission to get dental records. When a body was recovered in the river within an hour of them removing the remains, Undersheriff Kell took a professional from Behavioral Health Unit and a chaplain with him to tell the family that the body was found in the river, but he could not confirm that it was her son and explained they would have to wait for a positive identification from the findings of the autopsy. They don't do autopsies in this area anymore. Snohomish County is contracted to do our autopsies. The autopsy had to be scheduled and the remains have to be transported to Everett. It took almost a week to receive the report that positively confirmed that the deceased body was their loved one. Another level of mental anguish for the family, the wait and anticipation to confirm the death of a child. Can you think of anything worse? What an exceptional job Douglas County did by getting all these human services professionals in place so the family was familiar with them and knew they were...
Denise, we got to get,
Okay, I'm
we
almost
are
done.
way past your 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I have a couple of people,
need to
so
get-
maybe I can help
You
a
need to
little.
get a conclusion here, so.
Okay, so the family was familiar with them and knew they were enveloped with care or support by trained professionals, if they so chose to utilize them. Once they had a positive ID, the coroner undersheriff went back out to the home to speak with the family. Anyway, okay, I'm sharing this today because my family is camped out in grief and loss. We are in desperate need of these services, and for the life of me, I don't understand why none of these resources have been spoke about or offered to my family. We are suffering, and I have some family members who are using substances and other, like whether anything unhealthy, to dull the pain and unable to move through the stages of grief. I have other loved ones who are blaming themselves and playing the what if cycle on replay. I am failing as a therapist right now, as it is just too up close and personal, because I've been one in the past, I just can't do it. Let me share a little bit about me. I've worked in human services and social services field for most of my life. I have taken care of others and tried my best to better their life in one way or another. But I'm exhausted and can't keep everyone well at this time without some backup. But this isn't just about my family. I would like these resources to be used anytime a person is suffering from a mental health crisis or is a victim of a traumatic event, such as my family's case. Since these programs are grant funded and available to every jurisdiction in our valley, I would like to see law enforcement utilize and set up these resources in a way similar to what Douglas County did, as it touched me deeply to feel the empathy and hear about the wraparound care that was offered to the family. Please, Wenatchee PD, incorporate a model and a standard such as this, into your daily responses. Thank you so much. That's all. I just wish that it was offered. I didn't know about it, and we desperately need the services. And so, if we can get those, that would be amazing.
All right, thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
All right, who else would like to address the city council? Seeing no other takers, we will move into our regular agenda items today. The first regular agenda item is our consent items, which includes approval of this evening's agenda, vouchers, and our minutes from our previous meetings, and a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-30, declaring personal property surplus to the needs of the city.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda for this evening, vouchers and minutes from previous meetings. This motion includes the approval of resolution number 2023-30, declaring certain personal property surplus to the needs of the city of Wenatchee and authorizing the Public Works Department to dispose of the personal property identified herein.
Second.
We got a motion by Councilmember Kulas, a second by Councilmember Rojanastatian to approve this evening's consent items, including the agenda, the vouchers, and the minutes from our previous meetings, and to adopt Resolution 2023-30, declaring certain personal property surplus to the needs of the city of Wenatchee and authorizing the Public Works Department to dispose of the personal property identified herein. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Presentations, we got two tonight. The first is, of course, our annual Veterans Day proclamation that Councilmember Harold will read into the record, and I'll present to Dan and his team, and then we'll get a presentation from Steve Wilkinson at the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. So Councilmember Harold, would you
Thank
read
you,
the
Your Honor.
proclamation into the record?
First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of our veterans. My son's a veteran, and I appreciate you so much. We are the land of the free because we're the home of the brave. Whereas on November 11th of each year, we honor our veterans, men and women who have served our country with honor and distinction. On Veterans Day, we show them our deepest thanks. Their sacrifices have helped secure more than 2 centuries of American progress, and their legacy affirms that no matter what confronts us or what trials we face, there is no challenge we cannot overcome, and our best days are still ahead. Whereas, although much has changed since Americans first took up arms to advance freedom's cause, the spirit that moved our forebears is the same spirit that has defined each generation of our service members. Our men and women in uniform have taught us about strength, duty, devotion, resolve, cornerstones of a commitment to protect and defend that has kept our country safe for over 200 years. In war and in peace, their service has been selfless and their accomplishments have been extraordinary. Whereas even our veterans take off the uniform, they never stop serving. Many apply the skills and experience they developed on the battlefield to a life of service here at home. They take on roles in their communities as doctors and police officers, engineers and entrepreneurs, mothers and fathers. As a grateful nation, it is our task to make that transition possible, to ensure our returning heroes can share the opportunities they have given so much to defend. The freedoms we cherish endure because of their service and sacrifice, and our country must strive to honor our veterans by fulfilling our responsibilities to them and upholding the sacred trust we share with all who have served. Whereas on days like this, we are called to reflect on immeasurable burdens that have been borne by so few, we pay tribute to our wounded, our missing, our fallen, and their families, men and women who have known the true costs of conflict and deserve our deepest respect now and forever. Now, therefore, I, Frank J. Kuntz, Mayor of the City of Wenatchee, with respect for and in recognition of the contribution our service members have made to the cause of peace and freedom around the world, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2023 as Veterans Day in the City of Wenatchee and encourage all citizens to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans through appropriate public ceremonies and private prayers, in witness whereof I have caused the seal of the City of Wenatchee to be affixed on this 9th day of November 2023. Frank J. Kuntz, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Harold. Let me get that up to Dan. Come on up. All right. Thank you. I think that was you. Yeah, we're gonna miss you. You wanna say something? Is this even on? I don't know if I turn this on. On? There it is.
Yeah, on Saturday, we got a parade, Veterans Day Parade, and it goes down to Memorial Park. At 11 o'clock, we do a brief ceremony down there. We shoot the guns, play the taps and stuff like that. And this year, it's the first year, we're gonna do something at Pybus. As soon as the parade's on from 11 to 3, you can go down there and get free food, and there's gonna be face painting, and Elbo the clown's gonna be there, stuff like that. So it'll be a day to come on down and support the veterans. Thank you. You want to say something?
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. You control that, Zach? Trying to figure that out. All right, Steve, come on up. Tell us about the Chamber of Commerce. What's the latest and greatest?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council members. My name is Steve Wilkinson. I'm the Executive Director of the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'll introduce Ashley here in a little bit later, but it's, it's interesting about Veterans Day. When I speak to a lot of groups, and especially on Veterans Day, it's always a little more challenging for me because all my family gets up on various sides of the family, but me. My wife sits up because she was one of the first females in the Army Airborne Unit.
Okay.
And so she gets up and she has over 101, I think 102 jumps, and she carried an M60. So when I share that in presentations, everybody's like, oh, wait, we want to meet your wife. We're not really interested in you, Steve. So, you know, I really appreciate the communication I've had with the city of Wenatchee. Even before I started my position in April of 2022, I met with Mayor Kuntz, I met with Laura. And they were very clear with me where the city was moving forward, especially with the lodging tax. And that helped me greatly. So when I started in April, I really knew what was the priorities of the city of Wenatchee and the community. And as I was looking at a new contract with the city of Wenatchee, it allowed me to kind of strategically think, how are we going to make this work? How are we going to partner? Brad and Laura were great as I worked through 2022 on this new contract, and then through 2023, because they're asking for greater clarification of the finances. It was really kind of, I don't know what you say, kind of intertwined a little bit with the chamber, and they asked clearly, separate it. We need to be able to come, you need to come to us and share with us how you're utilizing the funds for lodging tax and for the TPA. So I've appreciated that. That's helped us greatly as we are presenting to the committee. The LTAC committee and the TPA, the Tourism Promotion Area Committees, are now together. They're working together. That was a great move, by the way. So it's helped us as well as we present to these particular committees. In 2022, Jerry Barkley, she went to visit Chelan. And she's now working over there. Great hire. I think they wrote her description just for her. I'm not sure there, but she went over there. Then we hired Ashley. We hired Ashley in September of 2022. I'm new to the chamber. Ashley's new to tourism. But I believe a lot of our success was because of the partners that we had, LTAC and TPA. We had the hotelers. We've had the convention center working with us. We've had the Wenatchee Downtown Association all working together. Successes that we had in 22, and we saw it even greater because it built upon it in 23, was Rails to L's. Rails to L's in 2023 was a great success, and we're building upon that. Another area that you saw in 2022 is we just started getting into First Fridays with the Downtown Association. 2023, if you're here on the First Friday downtown, there's a lot of vibrancy down there because we have the Northwest Arts Alliance out there as well. We have musicians. We have just a great activity. That happened in 22, and we built upon it in 2023 as well. The Performance Arts Center, a lot of people that are coming to those events are coming to the Tasting Center, picking up information. We have a lot of traffic that comes into that visitor center now. Mark, you're going to have to help me here on the sister city's name.
Misawa.
I was going to say Misawa. Yeah, Misawa. We had a great experience with them. They came into the chamber. We spoke about the city of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee. We learned about their community as well. Somehow I got committed to, in 10 years from now, we're going to have some kind of celebration champagne or something. But I did tell them we're going to bring a sake over here. I think it would be really cool to bring a Misawa sake in our tasting room. I think that would be great.
I've got some at home if you want to try.
Oh, do you? Okay, okay. So I thought we would do that. What's been fun, I don't know if you're aware of it, but there's a Visit Wenatchee website. And if you go there, where people seem to be going is to the events calendar. There's a lot of events in the community. It is a central hub if you want to do something fun. So people are learning about Wenatchee. They're coming to Wenatchee online. And we have numbers that show that continues to grow, that continues to have users and viewers that are looking at that. They're looking at facilities. Ashley here and her team, they updated that site. They made it more relevant. They made it easier through the pathway. So we're finding a lot of traction through that. Convention Center, it has had such a great impact in this community. And so we try to supplement the experience that they're having at a convention center or at the Coast Hotel to come to the visitor center, come to our tasting room, because it's all about the visitor experience. When they're in there, then they start asking us questions. Where do I go eat? And we can't all send them behind our little tasting room over to Top's place. We do have to spread them out a little bit. So we do that. But it's a great experience for us, and I really look forward to this continued building, this continued success that we have. I don't know if you've met him yet, but about 3 months ago, we hired Jason Grover. In late 22, early 23, we heard from the hotelers, principally from the hotelers, we need to get back to sports tourism. We need to start promoting it. We need to start marketing. So we went through quite a process, and we ended up, and we were very happy that we now have Jason Grover. Jason is going out to the different facility managers to learn what is the quality, what are the needs, what are the challenges, where can we have some improvements. He's been out meeting with a lot of sports organizations as well. He has been helpful in the regional steering committee, helping the port, Barry and Dunn with getting some data and getting some points of contact as well. A lot of it, again, is the community effort that we have, the many partners that we have had, those that are getting engaged, and a lot of grit and persistence from Ashley here, who's really leading that effort. So it's the Visit Wenatchee effort that's held. We are the heart of Washington. That's what we share as there. We are really trying to incorporate as well more of the Latinx, Hispanic community, different events that we can, bringing them in, welcoming them and saying, hey, we need to be broad in our welcoming and what we're sharing. Ashley, you have anything to add to that?
Not much. I wasn't here very much in 2022, so I can give you data about, 60% occupancy rate and what that equivalent is in actual room nights sold. But I think that we have been pretty successful in 2023 with a lot of new initiatives with First Friday and some sustainable outdoor recreation, things that are to come in 2024. So, yeah, we're really excited.
Well, again, I know that the Winterfest, was amazing. I was there for all that. That was great.
Yeah.
So we want to see that event obviously grow for wintertime tourism, and we do see the hotel motel tax numbers, and 2023 has been an amazing year in the hotel motel tax world, both on the TPA side and on the tax side. So looks like all things I keep thinking, are we going to keep beating it? And we keep beating it. So that means people are coming here for a reason. So I appreciate what you guys do, and I see Frida back there, and again, thanks for that. Makes everything downtown go, and so it's just super important that we keep folks coming here, so appreciate your work on that.
Can I just say I appreciate you both and all the work you do. You've just been champions to work with, and we've got a great future ahead of us. Wenatchee's moving forward, and thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, thanks Ashley, thanks Steve, appreciate it. All right, so Carrie, we're gonna do one quick little thing before we get to where you're at. So we've got a couple of newly elected officials in the room. Charlie Atkinson, you wanna stand up and say hi? He's a new council member, so. I think you and I've got a meeting set for next week, and we'll get you all the paperwork and a laptop and everything that you need to get started, so congratulations. And I do want to recognize Mayor-elect Poyer for winning his race, and we've already started working together today. So, and thanks to all of the candidates. When I was driving around today, most of the signs have been taken down, so I do appreciate the candidates getting out and getting those down and getting us back to normal around the city. All right, Carrie, we've got two issues for you today.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Carrie Page, Director of Human Resources. Good evening, Council. The first ordinance I have before you is regarding the 2024 temporary worker positions and wages. As you all know, the minimum wage has increased by 54%, so this reflects that. And I'm here to request a motion to adopt and authorize the mayor to sign ordinance 2023-24 and repeal ordinance 2022-38 to allow for that.
Yeah, we're just adjusting the minimum wage to
Yes,
the current state level.
correct.
Okay.
Your Honor, I move for City Council to adopt ordinance number 2023-24, establishing pay ranges for temporary workers for the 2024 calendar year and repealing ordinance number 2022-38.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harold, second by Councilmember Cuevas, to adopt ordinance 2023-24, establishing pay ranges for temporary workers for the 2024 calendar year and repealing ordinance number 2022-38. Any discussion for Carrie? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And secondly, the classifications and pay for the management group.
Yes, so in front of you is the 2024 Management Administrative Group classification and compensation. I will note that the changes across all of city funds, the impact to salary and benefits is $148,000. 99,000 of that is to the general fund. Compensation is also incorporated into the 2024 budget, which will come forward next council meeting. So I'm here to ask for a motion to adopt and authorize the mayor to sign ordinance number 2023-20 and repealing ordinance number 2022-37.
And just for the record, the wage schedule in your packet and the one we're asking you to adopt has one small change in it.
That is correct, thank you,
That
Mayor.
change is in the MA 13 category, the principal planner should be at MA 12. So if you would, that change was made in the last couple of days and happened after this got out. So if whoever makes the motion would make it with that small change, that would be appreciative.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion for the City Council to adopt ordinance number 2020-20, establishing positions for regular status employment within the City of Wenatchee Management Administrative Group, fixing the compensation to be paid for the 2024 calendar year, and repealing ordinance number 2022-37, noting the revised schedule that was provided to us that specifically revises the principal planner rating from MA 13 to MA 12.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Huffaker, to adopt ordinance number 2023-20, establishing positions for regular status employment within the City of Wenatchee Management Administrative Group, fixing the compensation to be paid for the 2024 calendar year, and repealing ordinance number 2022-37, noting that the principal planner position has been moved up from MA 13 to MA 12. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Carrie. All right. Mr. Hoover, water main replacement project.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I'm Jeremy Hoover, Senior Utility Engineer for the City of Wenatchee. I'm here to discuss the upcoming AC water mains replacement project. We will be, the project is planned to replace approximately 2,000 linear feet of old AC water pipe. The location of the pipe is currently there's two pipes in the alleyways adjacent to 8th Street. Those are 4-inch pipes, and those are going to be taken out of commission, replaced by an 8-inch pipe in 8th Street from Miller to Ramona. The water line in 1st Street is also AC between Wilson and Miller. That is going to be replaced. And the water main in Chelan between Marr and Lincoln is AC, and it will be replaced with this project as well. The city issued the project for bids. Bids were opened in October of this year. The low bid contractor was HCon Inc. There were a total of 5 bidders associated with the project. HCon came in at just over 1.1 million. The engineer's estimate was between 1.1 and 1.3 million. The project is planned to begin construction this spring, and I'm requesting the council authorize award of the contract to HCon Incorporated.
So is this all of our, is that the remaining part of our AC pipe? Is this it for us?
There is one small section, but it will be in a private development area. So that'll be the last of the public AC water line that we have in the system.
Okay.
For those playing at home, AC stands for?
Asbestos cement.
Thank you.
And HCON is one I'm not familiar with. I know Smith and Selland and Pipkin and Hearst. Is HCON someone that the city's familiar with?
We have not worked with them here. They just recently got a project with Leavenworth, and they're trying to get some more work on this side of the mountains.
Okay.
So this will be the first time that we've worked with them.
Any questions for Jeremy? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for City Council to award the contract for construction of the AC water main replacement project, City Project Number 1918, to HCON Inc., and authorize the city administrator to sign the construction contract on behalf of the city.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rojanostati and second by Councilmember Harold to award the contract for construction of the AC water main replacement project, City Project Number 1918, to HCON Inc., and authorize the city administrator to sign the construction contract on behalf of the city. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jeremy. Keep walking during your lunch hour. Okay. He and I pass each other most of our noon hours out walking. Darcy Matiota, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
You got two projects for us.
I do, thank you. Good evening, council, mayor. The first project I'm here to talk to you about tonight is our Broadview improvements project. So, as it states, it's going to take place in the Broadview neighborhood. It is a it is a sewer and stormwater replacement project. The sewer will replace a 30-year-old lift station that's in the Broadhurst neighborhood cul-de-sac, and it will be moved north to its final resting spot. The stormwater will take the stormwater and upsize it to capture more flows to help eliminate some of the flooding and bring it up to standards to today's 25-year flood events by capturing it in the pipe and transferring it down through the canyon drain. If you're familiar with that neighborhood, it had quite a bit of damage from the fire and rains, and the stormwater ponds that exist no longer function as they should. So it'll be a great improvement to that neighborhood. Tonight I'm here to ask you to award the construction to the low bidder. We got 6 bids in October. The low apparent bidder was Strider Construction. They came in at $2,375,830.05. And so we're asking that that be awarded to them, and they would start construction in the spring of 2024.
How long of a project is this?
125 working days. So if we could start in April, we estimate we would be done at the end of August.
Okay. How much of that's in the street and how much of it is sort of down in the canyon?
The stormwater is mostly in Maiden Lane and Broadhurst. That's where the upsizing of the pipe will be.
Okay.
And then it will travel over the canyon wall down to a canyon that's about 25% of the stormwater. The sewer lift station will be very brief in the cul-de-sac while we remove the lift station.
Okay.
And the rest will be off roadway on private property and an easement we've obtained.
Perfect. Any questions for Darcy? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, make a motion for City Council to award the construction contract for the Broadview Improvements Project, City Project Number 2107, to the lowest responsive bidder and authorize the city administrator to sign the contract documents.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Huffaker, second by Councilmember Kulas, to award the construction contract for the Broadview Improvement Project, City Project Number 2107, to the lowest responsive bidder and authorize the city administrator to sign the contract documents. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And stormwater on 9th Street.
Thank you again. The second project on 9th Street, stormwater construction, is a follow-up to a funding grant we've had for planning. Yeah, we recently finished up the planning efforts to get to 90% plans and create an engineer's estimate. That allowed me to apply for construction funding with the Department of Ecology's Stormwater Financial Program. So it's a continuation of this project to get it constructed. The stormwater project itself is north of the Wenatchee Valley College, occupying several streets on Nelson, Morris, Ringgold, 7th, and Princeton. And it aims to take some of the college runoff as well as capture the city's runoff. What I mean by that is there's stormwater in the street and it overflows on a canyon drain, and we will be capturing that in a pipe, which will help alleviate the flooding, and we will take it back out to 9th Street. So it will improve the stormwater in that area by adding all the infrastructure and paving some of the roads. So it will be a major improvement to that area for all of the walkers, the traffic, and the college traffic. So tonight, I'm here to ask that you allow me to negotiate the funding agreement for the State of Washington Ecology Agreement and authorize the city administrator to sign that once we've worked out the terms and conditions of the funding for the construction portion. We anticipate the construction will also take place spring of 2024. We'd probably bid this project at the end of February or March. We'll keep an eye on the weather.
Thank you, Darcy. And this is another project we've been waiting to figure out how to fix the stormwater and the open canyon drain in that area. So it'd be nice to get that taken care of.
Yes, it will.
This has been with us for a long time. I think Mr. Hoover first, many years ago, brought a proposal that ended up.
Yes, he did. I picked
Yeah.
that up, got the funding kicked off.
Will this eliminate the open stream that I see flowing south or east of Ringgold down to Morris and 7th, that area?
Yes, essentially it will. That drain will remain because it is not our jurisdiction, but we will be taking most of that stormwater and
The water
treating it.
itself is,
And so we expect very minimal flows in that. Rainwater and maybe some irrigation runoff will remain in that ditch.
Okay.
The rest of it will be piped back into our system, treated before it hits the Columbia River.
very good.
The money from ecology, we're pretty sure that that's a done deal, they've committed the money.
Yes, the way it works is in July, they mail us a letter that we've made the funding list, and then they start drafting those agreements. And so we just got a draft of that agreement back in September, that the city attorney took a look at and approved the basic language. And then just Monday, we saw the updated version of that. So they will typically sign those. They get them ready in December, and then we sign in January.
Okay.
That's their normal funding cycle.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Darcy? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Well, Your Honor, I'd make a motion for the council to pass resolution number 2023-28 to negotiate a funding agreement with the State of Washington Department of Ecology for city project number 2101 and authorize the city administrator to sign the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Huffaker to adopt Resolution 2023-28 to negotiate a funding agreement with the State of Washington Department of Ecology for city project number 2101 and authorize the city administrator to sign the agreement. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you.
All right, Adam, show us what a trenchless solution is to a sewer line.
Trenchless technology, okay. Well, good evening, council, mayor. My name is Adam Neely. I'm the supervisor for the Sewer and Stormwater Collections Department here in Wenatchee. And I'm asking for us to invest $320,000 into a small works project to line and rehabilitate mostly some 8-inch sewer line that is needing rehabilitation. And so what it will be is a fiberglass liner impregnated with epoxy that is either pulled or kind of inverted into place.
So Adam, why don't you hand that over to
Yeah.
Keith so they can all see it and we can sort of pass it around.
Thank you. So that will take shape. We'll use the existing pipe as kind of a host, right? And then this will be inflated into place and cured by UV light and inspected and cured with UV light all in one pass. And then Allied will come back with the robot and reinstate each sewer service.
And you're doing this on Douglas Street and what else?
We're doing two sections on Douglas, one on Walker, one on Methow, and 3 sections on Delaware. So 8 sections of sewer, totaling about 2,645 feet, and then 1 large stormwater main.
Okay.
And time to cure, what was that again?
Time to cure, we can do 1 shot in about, well, we can cure it and reinstate it within a day, within 1 10-hour shift. So the cure time ranges depending on length and diameter and the structural thickness of it, but we'll reinstate citizens within 1 day.
What's incredible, you don't have to dig up the street.
Yeah,
It must be a cost savings, I'm sure.
pretty cool trenchless technology. Yeah, it's about 70% less than an open cut solution.
So,
Is this similar to what we used in the downtown core on Wenatchee
Yes.
Avenue a few
Yes.
years ago?
Yes, it is. This one is a little bit more state of the art because it's curing with light versus steam, but yeah.
And what's
essentially the same.
how long will it last? I forget.
It can last hundreds, probably thousands, maybe thousand in our environment too, because we're very lucky that here in Wenatchee we don't have corrosion factors like H2S that really degrade our wet utilities. So we're lucky.
An existing pipe lasts, if you.
Hundreds. Believe it or not, some of the oldest pipe, the clay that we have in town, some of it looks wonderful. It's very brittle. It will crack and it has issues like that. But the surfaces of it last a long time. I mean, some of it looks brand new from inside.
and I know we have issues from time to time where tree roots get in the middle of some of those clay lines. That looks like it might be really hard to get a tree root through that.
Absolutely, there will be no root infiltration with that.
And you're gonna bring us a video when it's done, and
We're
you're gonna
gonna
show
show you
us
before
what it
and
looks
after.
like on the inside.
Yes, we'll show you before and after.
I won't be here, but bring one so they can all see what it looks like.
So the original pipes that we're going to replace, they sometimes get really corroded on the inside? Will that
These
have
are
an
much
impact
more
on?
resistant to corrosion.
Okay.
Yeah, and you lose a little bit of the diameter, but the Manning coefficient is increased, so you actually get more volume to pass through them.
I think that means the inside is slippery.
Yeah, it's smooth.
Pretty sure that's what he
That's
said.
good. That's good.
A coefficient of something I didn't quite understand, but it feels slippery when you touch it.
It's smooth.
I told you this earlier today, and I'll say it again. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's such a huge cost savings.
It is. I hope that I'll be back every year to do a project like this, and we'll chip away at it.
Perfect.
Well, thanks, Adam. That's great. It's impressive, obviously. I'm going to make a motion for the city council to award a small works project for sewer and storm CIPP liner project number SW-23-03 to the lowest responsible bidder and authorize the city administrator to sign the contract documents.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Poyer, second by Councilmember Harrell, to award the small works project for sewer and storm CIPP liner project number SW-23-03 to the lowest responsive bidder and authorize the city administrator to sign the contract documents. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Adam. Thanks
Thank you
for being
very
here tonight. Let's go ahead and take this one, and then I don't know if we need a little break before we get into items H and I or not. But Glenn, as we expected, we have what may be one last multifamily tax exemption credit request.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is the last one we're aware of. The current code is currently in effect. This application submitted by Grandview Riverfront Village LLC was submitted actually before the code amendment that was done recently for the multifamily tax program. And this affects 157 of the units of the over 450 that are part of the Grandview Riverfront Village project. The applicant is aware, while they could have applied for the others, they chose to just apply for this phase, and they understand the program is changing. The location of the site is at 315 North Worthen Street. And in review of the code that the project's vested under, we look at eligibility with respect to the target area. It's within the location of the acceptable area to submit applications, the size, providing permanent residential housing units, and then the proposed completion date are all meeting our eligibility criteria. The project has not been finalized yet. We estimate either this winter or spring that the project will be complete. As such, since it meets the code that it's vested under for the application, staff recommends that you consider the motion before you to adopt Resolution 2023-29, authorizing the execution of an 8-year multifamily housing limited property tax exemption agreement with Grandview Riverfront Village LLC. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Glenn? Again, as we mentioned before, we thought we might get one more. We did. I think this process lapses here in the next couple of weeks, 30 days after when Tammy declared it. So I think it will run between now and the next time we meet. So well, not the next time, but probably the time after. So I think this is probably the last one we'll see. With that, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for City Council to adopt Resolution 2023-29, authorizing the execution of an 8-year multifamily housing limited property tax exemption agreement with Grandview's Riverfront Village LLC.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Rojanowski and second by Councilmember Cuevas to adopt Resolution 2023-29, authorizing the execution of an 8-year multifamily housing limited property tax exemption agreement with Grandview's Riverfront Village LLC. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Quickly, you said that Burke and Associates is doing some work for us, and you mentioned something about maybe what the latest vacancy rate is in the apartment. Can you just
Correct. You
inform the
bet.
council about that a little bit?
In 2016, the city undertook a housing study in the valley, and one of the things that was shown was that there's a need for market rate housing, and part of the what was implemented is our multifamily tax program to try to get to a 5% vacancy rate. When we have hired Burke to come back and update that study specifically for Wenatchee, and what they found in looking at the data is that we're actually at a 7% rate now. So the work the city has done has actually accomplished the intended goal of getting up to 5% and over. And there are 3 more components of that study that we'll be bringing forward as part of our visioning and our comprehensive plan process, and the work to try to address low and moderate income housing and how we might get some additional strategies in working with our community.
Thanks, Glenn.
You bet.
So do we want to take a break? Where are we at, guys? Gals?
Yeah. Couple minutes.
Okay, we'll take a little 5-minute recess. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes, 6:23.
Break out those cookies.
Because then if somebody challenges that, it's an emotion. So it was just, this, I don't, I just heard like stuff. Yeah, it's not bad. And that, so it looks like it's probably.
Thanks for coming.
All right, we are back in regular session. Our next item is a delegation of a bond ordinance for the Convention Center renovation. Brad Posenjack, Finance Director.
Your Honor, I will recuse myself on this next item.
All right. And just for just for process, so this is the ability to get us to the bond market, final approval of a contract with a builder will be something that happens probably in February or March. This is just giving us the authority to get to the bond market, check on interest rates, and get some money to put into the project. So Brad, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, and then I'll turn it over to Alyssa and Laura in just a
Okay.
second.
Okay.
But yes, we have, we're going to be asking you to approve a bond or an ordinance that will delegate the authority to issue the debt and sign all the bond documents that need to be signed in just a minute. But before we do that, it would probably be beneficial to have Alyssa provide an update on the project and where
Sure.
the estimates are. Oh, we need to get this.
We need to.
Does somebody know how to do this?
Will you do the rest?
Yeah, I think then we just have to get
Presentation.
it up there somehow.
So we are not seeing pictures if there's pictures.
Zach's on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're working on it.
Okay.
Well, in the meantime, good evening, Alyssa Schaefer, Facilities Manager for the Public Works Department. I'm here to present on the budget for the
We're
Convention
black
Center.
now. Zach, we're black right now. So we can turn around and look. I think it'll pop here in a minute.
When I was here last, the 90% design estimate wasn't quite complete. It is complete now, and it is split up in between a base bid and 8 alternates, 8-ish. So we've got the base bid, which is the 19,000 square foot expansion, which includes the 4,100 square foot, I gotta breathe. Thanks. The 4,100 square foot breakout rooms, 2,000 square foot of pre-function space, 3 restrooms, an elevator, 3,200 square foot of unfinished space, and the site improvements. When I was here a couple months ago, it was requested that we look into the ADA accessibility of the plaza. We have done that and included this in the base bid.
Okay.
You guys make me nervous.
Don't be nervous.
So, alternate number 1 is the big Fuji Gala renovation. It is about 5,800 square foot of meeting space, broken up into 6 individual spaces, about 950 square foot each.
This is the stuff in the basement.
This is,
Yeah.
this is in the existing convention center. Alternate number 2 is the installation of 3 operable walls, and they are individually packaged, so we could pick one or another or all 3. Alternate number 3 is the parking lot repaving for the service parking lot. And alternates 4 through 6 are PAC elected modifications. So it includes some plumbing expansion inside their existing lower level to service their bar. It also includes alternate number 5 is some bird mitigation on the exterior of the building. And then alternate number 6 is painting of the structure outside. So with that being said, the real nervous part is the numbers. So the base project cost, including sales tax and the construction administration, and special inspections is $14,232,185. And that is a 90% design estimate with some design contingency built in. The base bid with alternates that the city really values is the Fuji Gala renovation and the resurfacing of the parking. That total is $16,569,267. That also includes sales tax and CA and special inspections. If we went with the base bid and all of the alternates, we are looking at $16,832,349. That's the budget. Now to Brad for the revenue.
Just one quick question. Do those numbers have contingencies built in already, or is that in addition to this?
Just the design contingency.
Say it
So
again.
just the base
Just-
estimate's the only one that
Yeah.
has
As a contingency.
little contingency.
Okay.
A little bit of contingency.
What's a little bit? $500,000, $300,000 or $400,000, $1,000,000?
About, I'd have to go look.
Okay.
Because
Every part of it's got a different, yeah.
it's design contingency, it's not construction contingency.
Okay.
So it does not include what we would take. This would be what the contractor would bid,
Right.
and then we would add on
Got it.
top of that a contingency.
On top of that, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So then, as far as funding a $16 million project, we plan to use lodging taxes. We currently are bringing in about 2.3 million. I don't know if I can zoom in on that, if that helps, but we're currently bringing in 2.3 million of lodging tax revenues. We've gone through this analysis. I think we've walked through this before here, that show our current lodging tax committee expenses. We've got some convention center O&M expenses that we're on that we support. And then we do have a few bond payments left from a previous debt issuance, and that will be paid off in 5 years. And so that kind of gives us our remaining revenue that we have to work with. These projections are very conservative. We are projecting, because of the construction in 2024, if this goes ahead, we would expect that maybe we have 0% growth in our lodging tax revenues because we'll have fewer visitors without the full capacity of the convention center possibly. And so we have very conservative revenue growth. Then probably in 2025, we'd catch that up because going forward, we're projecting a 3% revenue growth rate for future years. However, the past 10 years, our revenue growth rate has been around 7 or 8%. So projecting a 3% revenue growth rate we feel is very conservative. Then we also are projecting a 4% expense growth rate, even though I think our expense growth rate has been more around 3 to 3.5%. Again, we're trying to build a lot of extra room into these projections. So that gives us a year-by-year revenue projection that we think we can sustain by issuing debt. We've talked to our bond underwriters, D.A. Davidson, and they provided a kind of a best guess estimate as to what our bond schedules would look like. I shouldn't say best guess. They're professionals at this. They know what they're doing. It's not just a guess. Had we issued debt right today, actually a month ago, we would be able to issue 16 million in actual. We would end up getting 16 million in cash for the within our revenue constraints. You can see the debt service column on there. That's the principal plus interest. Those numbers actually match dollar to dollar on that previous chart that was shown, just to show that we could pull that off. I believe, was this, maybe there's not one more. So this was at bond rates from a month ago. I think October 4th is when they provided this. I believe, I didn't include it here, but I believe the yield was around 6.3%, somewhere around there. I got an email from our underwriter this morning, and he said that rates have actually decreased in the last
Trickled down
couple
some,
days,
yep.
and which is something they haven't seen for quite a while. So there's some optimism that what we're seeing here is still, that adds more conservatism into it, because if we can issue debt at lower yields, then our money goes further. So I believe with that, we have the bond delegation ordinance that we'd be asking you to approve. It allows staff, the mayor and staff, to work with our underwriter, with our bond attorneys, to issue up to 16.4 million in bonds to help fund this project. An obvious question that you'd probably ask is, I think on some of those numbers, it was a 16.8 million project, possible with all the alternates in there. Where's that other 800,000 going to come from? We currently have about 700,000 or 800,000 in lodging tax reserves at the moment, and in the next 6 months, at the rate that they're coming in, I would expect us to have an easy $1 million of additional reserves that we could put towards the project if the bids come in, or if we
And
choose
if
to
we're
go
in the
with
bond
alternates.
market in January, or let's say by the 1st of February, you get $16 million, we're not going to turn around the next day and write a check for 16 million. So you'll have some of that invested in our LGIP account, earning 4% interest or 5%. And some of that will get paid out 18 months later when the contract's finished. So one would assume $500,000 or more of interest income that will go back into that fund to help cover maybe some contingencies or some overages or something. We didn't used to be able to talk about that, right? Because interest rates were, point nothing.
Yep.
But it sounds like that we would,
actually getting a
that
good-
is
good
another
rate.
little piece of cushion, that be able to use some of that over time.
Absolutely.
So tonight, the only issue is going to the bond market, and then exactly what gets paid for when the contracts come back, and which one of the alternates, or something that the new mayor and the new council will get to decide sometime in February or March as you get bids put together. And so that is sort of an ongoing conversation. I would like to see them all get done, but I'm always that way. But you'll get to make those decisions first part of next year. This gives staff, the mayor, city administrator, and the mayor-elect, who will end up signing the documents to get to the bond market sooner rather than later. Any questions for Brad or Alyssa? I know Alyssa's anxious for a number of questions, so hopefully we got a bunch for her. So I would entertain a motion if we had one.
Excuse me. Your Honor, I'll make a motion requested for the city council to adopt ordinance, number 2023-18, providing the issuance and sale of one or more series of limited tax general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $16.4 million to finance the design, development, purchase, construction, equipping, and furnishing of renovations, expansions, and improvements to the city convention center, and to pay costs of issuance of the bonds, delegating authority to approve the sale and final terms of the bonds, and providing for other matters relating thereto.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rojanostati and second by Councilmember Poyer to adopt ordinance number 2023-18, providing for the issuance and sale or one or more of a series of limited tax general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $16,400,000 to finance the design, development, purchase, construction, equipping, and furnishing of renovations, expansions, and improvements to the city convention center, and to pay cost of issuance of bonds, delegating authority to approve the sale and final terms of the bonds, and providing for other matters relating thereto. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Alyssa. Keeping my fingers crossed.
I understand why there was hesitation to make the motion. That was a really long motion. And
It looks like a
very
Roy,
boring one to
is
read.
that a Roy
So-
Kogan motion? It
Yeah,
almost looks like.
It was our, well, didn't matter who our bond
Yeah.
counsel was. It's a bond attorney.
All right, so next up is a public hearing item regarding our property tax ordinance. So this is regarding what we're going to ask the county treasurer to collect on our behalf. So, Mr. Posenjack,
Yeah,
turn it over to you, and then any members of the audience that wish to address the council.
As we have to do every year, we have to ask the city council to adopt ordinance that authorizes the property tax levy for the next year. As you know, according to state legislature, we can't increase our regular levy more than 1% per year. There's a few other items that go into it, besides with estimated new construction, annexations, and then there's a refund levy that, the way I understand it, is that when they set the levy for 2023, it was based on a certain property value, and then as people get exemptions, whether it's the senior exemption or maybe even that multifamily housing exemption, as those exemptions hit throughout the year, then it changes the makeup of that, and they're not having to pay taxes on that original levy. And so that amount that we lose out gets to fold into the next year's levy and sort of gets spread across everybody. So that is the total property tax levy that we also do have 1.9 million in banked capacity, that just without anything specific to spend that on right now, we're just sticking to the 1%. That's what we've been doing most of the years, at least the last 6 I've been here. And as you can see, I think in the agenda packet, our levy rate is actually going down by 6.6%. I believe that means because overall property values are being assessed at more than that 6.6%, probably at 7.6%. When we back out that 1% that we're increasing by. So all that to say, if you got your assessed valuation letter card from the county assessor earlier this year, if it showed that your home or property value did not change, that means your city portion of your property tax will actually go down by 6.6%. If your home value went up, then it'll go up by, you'd have to take the difference in what it went up and the 6.6% that it's decreasing, that the rate's decreasing. But all that to say, I know, yeah. I think there's also a chart in here that I added this year that shows of somebody's property taxes, how much is actually coming to the city of Wenatchee. Because oftentimes we talk about property taxes here and people think of their property tax bill, and we're talking about adopting a property tax levy tonight, but that's only 10% of what somebody's actual property tax bill is. Over 50% of it is going to the state and local schools, and just a small portion is actually coming to the city. So the changes that the city makes to the property tax levy has a small impact on the overall property tax bill somebody receives.
Any questions for Brad while we've got him here? Any members of the audience who wish to address the city council on this public hearing item regarding our 2024 property tax ordinance? Seeing no takers, I will turn over to the council for any action they may be willing to take.
Your Honor, I make a motion for the city council to adopt ordinance number 2023-19, authorizing an increase in the regular property tax levy to be collected in the 2024 tax year.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Harold, to adopt ordinance number 2023-19, authorizing an increase in the regular property tax levy to be collected in the 2024 tax year. Any discussion?
Well, I'm going to throw my normal comments out because I don't like raising taxes on anybody. This year is no difference. In fact, this year, I think it hits even closer to home. I've already received my assessment. My value did go up, so my taxes are going to go up, as are most everybody else's. And we're one entity collecting taxes, but everybody else is collecting theirs and getting a little increase in theirs. I know the fire department has had to raise theirs recently to cover their costs. They're gonna go up again. Right now, we seem to have a little bit of excess. So I'm gonna suggest that this is a year that we should bypass this and not do this and not raise taxes on the citizens of Wenatchee. I'll be voting no.
All right, anybody else wish to, any comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries, 5 in favor, 1 against. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. I think the last thing that I have, sorry, I apologize.
So next we have a presentation regarding a draft of the 2024 budget.
Yes. Zach's getting it up. Thank you. So the last thing I've got is an overview of the 2024 budget that next week we'll be bringing to you an ordinance to adopt the 2024 budget. And I'll try to keep that short and sweet because at that point, I'm hoping there would not be any changes to it. So if you've got any questions or comments, please let's discuss those tonight and figure those out between now and then. I know we've reviewed this already, so most of what we're going to talk about is going to be a little bit higher level than we have in the previous or last month when we talked about it. So just so that you all know, for the public or whoever wants to take a look at this, I know the draft budget document was included in the agenda packet tonight, but it is also on our website. You can get to it in 2 clicks, a little bit of hovering. It's maybe cheating to say 2 clicks. So if you go to the Wenatchee, City of Wenatchee's website, if you hover over government, and then you go down to where it says finance, then you click on budget and finance, then you can click on the 2024 draft budget link, and you'll have the document that we're going to be talking about tonight. Before we get to the document, I do want to make a quick comment about the changes that we've had since we discussed the budget a month ago. There have been a couple small adjustments in the general fund. The adjustments move us in a positive direction. You can see a month ago when we talked about it, our net income was at negative 900,000. Now it's negative almost 800,000. The majority of this is due to we got the revised preliminary numbers from the county assessor for our property tax levy, and so that was just adopted, is included in here, which helps out bring that net income a little closer to zero. The thing we really look at is the net recurring budget. So we are pretty much having a break-even recurring budget, which is what we want to have. And we will touch on that again in just a few minutes. So as you go through the budget document that's on the website and in the agenda package, on the first few pages, this budget document, I think it's 60-something pages, the first few pages provide an overview of the city's budget process, our financial policies, it's got our org chart, and kind of a chart of our employee trends over time. There is also a chart in that intro section that shows Exhibit A. This is the exhibit that will be attached to next week's ordinance. The city adopts the budget at the fund level, and so by state statute, the city has to have a budget, and we have to stay within our budget at the fund level. That's sort of the minimum or the highest level that we have to stay in by state statute. And so you'll see there's the general fund is the one we talk about most, and then we have 36 other funds that we list. They all have different revenue sources that can only be used for specific reasons. In the general fund, that is mostly comprised of our general tax revenues like sales tax and property tax, utility tax. It can be used for any purpose of city government. After you get through that intro section, we really focus on the general fund. It's got a long-term projection in here that looks back at the last few years of actual expenses and revenues, and then it projects forward 10 years based on several different assumptions that are listed in, you can kind of dive into the different assumptions that we use to project that. You can see some of the red line is the expenses. In 2023, you can see that jumps up because we had several one-time projects that were approved, and the majority of those will get completed this year. And then after that, looking at 2024, we are trying to tighten up our one-time requests a little bit. And so then those lines come a little bit closer together, and then as we move forward, we should be able to keep our revenues just above our expenses. And we can always dive into the details, and I'm happy to talk to you about those details that we probably don't want to do tonight. Then as we get into the general fund a little bit more, we look at the details of our revenues. Overall, you'll see the revenues have a 10.9% increase. The sales tax and utility tax have been very strong in the past couple of years. For revenues, this percentage increase doesn't necessarily mean that our revenues actually increased by 10% between 2023 and 2024. As you know, the budget is an estimate, and so when we estimated 2023, it was very conservative, and so our actual 2023 revenues are going to beat our budget very nicely. And so we know that at this point in the year, and so we are budgeting a little bit more on top of that for 2024. So budget over budget, we show a 10.9% growth, but actual over actual.
Why can't all of our revenues be 4,194.8% over?
Well, if they all started at 18,000.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that one looks nice.
All right, I was just hoping maybe we could do something with that.
Yeah. Then on our expenses, we show all the general fund departments and the changes between budget years. We have discussed this at last month's meeting, kind of going through department by department, saying why the differences in the budgets. Most of them are kind of moving administrative things around. The overall, we show expenditure budget going up by only 1.9%. The main reason for that is, again, that non-recurring. We budgeted for a larger number in 2023 than we're budgeting in 2024 by almost double. What we like to focus on is our recurring revenues and recurring expenses, because these are the revenues and expenses we expect to have, whether we like it or not. We've got our one-time revenues and one-time expenses that they come and go, but these are the core operating revenues and expenses of the general fund. The increase over the prior year budget is very close, and we are budgeting, I would say, break even, but in all likelihood, that will grow. As you see in 2020, 2021, and 2022 up there, the budget was actually built in those years. It was built up to break even. The recurring budget was built to break even. And when it all played out, revenues typically come in over budget, because even though we try to project, maybe not aggressively, but realistically, they always have been conservative. And so we always beat our revenue budget. And again, our expenditure budget is legally, we cannot exceed that. So we'll come in under on our expense budget. And so it ends up giving us a better picture than what we budget. So
Do you have a guess on the 2023 numbers, since 2022 is actual and 2021 is actual, and 2023 you're showing budget? Do you have is it going to be plus 2 million, plus 3 million, plus $4? What's it going to be?
On our recurring budget, I think it'll probably be plus 4 million.
Plus 4.
4 million?
Yeah, 3 to 4 million.
Wow.
That'd be my guess. Our revenues have been doing very well, and all our departments do a very good job managing their budgets, and so they will.
So, and you think on the expense side, if you came in 4% under, that's $1.2 million based on the budget, right? And if you come over your revenues by 4%, that's another $1.2 million. So it doesn't take hard to flip and make it a $2.5 to $3 million. And then if you have utility tax are really doing super well, and some of our budgets are not are gonna be less than that, so it's not hard to get to that number if you budget revenue conservatively and you over budget on the expenses, because that's the legal obligation that we have to spend. It's not that hard to get there.
And a lot of people think of the budget as what we're actually gonna spend and what we're actually gonna receive, but because we like to build budgets conservative, we typically do beat them, and so our actuals are definitely different. So after that overview of the full general fund, we get into each one of the general fund departments. There's a description of each department and then kind of notes that are specific to any changes that are in the year. So if you go through and look at them again, I think you'll notice there's some of these are shifting costs between departments, accounting for things slightly different. Again, I'm happy to go into any of that in whatever level of detail you want. So we have a list of departments in there. At the end of the general fund department section, we've got our one-time requests. I believe you've seen these all before, but these are the one-time requests that were granted for 2024. The one-time general fund requests, I think there's a couple of them in other funds that aren't on this list, but they use other revenue sources than the general fund. Yeah, so those are our one-time requests. And then we get into all the other 36 funds that we have listed here. So each fund is presented very similarly to each one of the general fund departments, with a description of what the fund does. In this example, the water utility, their revenues are not just general tax revenues. Their revenues are service revenues that can only be spent on water utility. And so that's why they're all separated out. But then we have all the utility fund, or not utility, we have all the other funds outside the general fund. And then we've got kind of our capital budget, which is also incorporated into that operational budget of the general fund and all of the other 36 funds. But we separate these out to show all of the different capital projects that the city is looking at least starting to tackle in 2024, if not tackling or completing in 2024. And then with the budget packet that you will have next week, you'll also be asked at the same time as adopting the 2024 budget to adopt capital project budgets. So I think you'll see it looks much more extensive. Our city policies say that the council has to approve each one of those capital project budgets. So that's why it's included with our operational budget. And I think that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
I do.
Yeah.
So, you said we're probably gonna finish up 4 million over what our current budget is.
3 to 4.
3 or 4, okay, whatever, it's okay. So did you put that figure into our beginning fund balance?
Yes. So our beginning fund balance is also still a little bit conservative. So going back, talking about that 3 to 4 million of growth, that's on a recurring budget. We also have our non-recurring expenses that is actually going to spend down our fund balance some. So between spending down our fund balance with our one-time non-recurring requests, we're also going to be growing some from our recurring budget. So there is a bit of an offset overall, because we designed the budget this way for 2023. Our fund balance will actually decrease. I think in the budget documents you see, it shows it going, I think it's from 19 million down to 14.
Yeah.
And so we have scheduled the budget to spend down some of the reserves. Some of that, well, the main reason for that is because we have had healthy reserves that have grown kind of surprisingly over the last couple years with the federal American Recovery Plan, the coronavirus recovery plan funds that we received. Those have helped. And then just with our other just economic driven revenues have been so strong that our fund balance has grown.
So that 3 million or 4 million is basically budgeted, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Two things. His 14 million will be 15, because it's just the way he is, right? But that's not all cash in the bank, right? That's land on North Wenatchee Avenue, that's loans.
Yes.
That is not all sitting in our bank account. So you just don't get to go spend all that.
I'm just looking for extra money to put into streets.
Yeah, I know what you're looking for, yeah. All right, any questions for Brad on the budget? So we'll see that in final form in a public hearing at a meeting near and dear to us next Thursday night.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you.
Mayor's report. I don't really know what to add. I do, just a couple of sort of housekeeping items. We are meeting next Thursday, the 16th. We're taking a couple of weeks off, as we always do. We're meeting on the 7th, which would be a special meeting anyhow, and it's going to be so special, we're going to start it early, somewhere around 4 o'clock, to get us out of here by a little bit after 6 o'clock. So just want to make sure you all have that. Jose, hopefully you'll be done by work by then. Usually you're off by 3, so.
I'm off by 12:50.
Ooh, 12:50, okay. So hopefully that works for everybody. Just trying to accommodate a few things. Laura, anything to add for you in terms of what we've been doing?
We had the Reimagine Wenatchee meeting last week. It went really, really well. We had a kind of a pre-meeting with the Downtown Association, and we could barely fit in the upstairs private room. There was over 20, 25 people there, so it was a really, really good turnout from the Downtown Association and the committees that they have as well. So right now the consultant is working on gathering all of that information and putting together a draft final master plan to share with you all. So we'll hear back on that early January on next steps. Other than that, we had our employee breakfast yesterday, and we gave out some really cool awards to our employees to recognize them for all of the great work that they do here. And it's just a time to celebrate our fantastic staff. So I think that was the biggest turnout to date. So that was really exciting. And yeah, that's all I've got.
Council members, anything for the good of the order?
A museum board, God, what is this, Thursday?
Yeah.
Museum board met yesterday. And a lot of it is still on the capital campaign that starts. And I think that they're probably going to be, the project's getting a little expensive, as projects do. And so I think they have some difficult decisions that are probably coming up before they know it. And I'll just leave that to somebody else to worry about.
Okay.
The disability board for the law enforcement and firefighters Plan 1 board met. We reviewed, Councilmember Cuevas and I represent the city on that. We've reviewed the city's code as well as the state law regarding it, and the numbers of left one retirees is, well, there were 60 when I started on the council, and now we're below 30. And there are, it was reported that approximately 12 live in this area that are still probably physically able to participate. And how the process works is the firefighters, retired firefighters elect someone to represent them. They actually have to go through an election, and the same with law enforcement officers that they go through. Presently, Bill Taylor represents the law enforcement and Tom Lewis represents the firefighters. To come into compliance with the state law, we've initiated a process to do an election for the firefighter representative.
Okay.
And most likely next year will then be the law enforcement person. And then the two city reps and those four select, dang, I'm getting a leg cramp, sorry. They select the citizen rep.
Okay.
So that's in process, and we probably, I don't know, Jose, did we say we were going to meet again?
Nick is going to look into it.
Yeah.
To see if this year or
Just
starting January.
it's getting, there's going to, the state legislature's going to have to address what happens in counties like, or cities like ours, where the numbers of
Yeah, pretty soon you're
law
not going
enforcement,
to have any living
retired
around here. Yeah.
law enforcement and firefighters exist. And it's just not a way out right now.
Well, thanks for doing that, and that gets back to what I talked to Charlie about, and we'll talk to you guys in, that December meeting. We should plan on at least getting some ideas of who's sitting on what boards going forward, and I know the mayor-elect will come up with some ones that he wants to do, and so that we get started in January. And Mark, you've got heavy lifting because you've been the disability board and Link and museum, so even your workload's going to have to get spread out amongst more than one person, and so.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes. I had a great time last week. We did our South Wenatchee corridor study
Okay.
with Fur and Pierce
Yep.
in the Seattle
So
area.
did you walk South Wenatchee Avenue from start to finish?
We did.
Okay.
And I want to acknowledge that it was Rob, Emma, and Jake from our department and consultants Brooklyn and Bray. It was really interesting because we get to see all the angles of the sidewalks and the streets that normally you don't see when you're driving. So I'm looking forward for that. We had a great time. We learned a lot. And also, yesterday I was at the Chelan Douglas Local Homeless Task Force. We appointed 2 new life experience representatives. One's going to be a representative and one's going to be an alternate. The name is Tracy and John. For more info, I'll let you know who they are. And also we reviewed the bylaw changes. So coming up, maybe in the next the next committee meeting will be all set for that.
And Jose was talking about whether or not that they needed an alternate to that. And of course, we're not voting reps to that board, so that'll be something you guys will have to talk about as to whether or not we provide an alternate to some of the ones where we're ex officio or not. So we can talk about that on that first meeting in December. Yes, sir.
On Monday, I attended a downtown safety meeting
Okay.
led by the Downtown Association, and there was about a dozen downtown business owners, and they got to ask questions to Corporal Wilson and
Ron was
Detective
there? Okay.
Hewitt, and
Good.
and no, it was there. I mean, their concerns for like the recent incidences of the smash and grabs in the different stores. So everyone came together, and at the end of it, some of the ideas were to maybe get better lighting, and the police also said if people were more consistent with reporting, that would help, and also cameras for businesses to invest in cameras, and then a lot of the downtown businesses are gonna try to start like a group to like kind of help look after each other and share resources. And then I encouraged anyone to come to city council too with their ideas. But yeah, and then yesterday was the NCW Tech Innovation Awards. So got to see a lot of local educators and tech people get awarded. The students, really impressive students in our valley, like going to Stanford, doing really cool stuff. So that was really cool as well.
And sorry, I didn't get a chance to go to that. I had another commitment yesterday.
No, it was cool, and I mean, Senator Brad Hawkins was there, and it was a good time just to see all the cool stuff going on in our valley. But yeah, that's.
Some people don't think there's cool stuff going on in our valley.
I think pretty cool guys are there.
All right. Anybody else for the good of the order? So we will see you next Thursday, same time. We're adjourned.